What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. As with every new patch, we're going to look at the big changes and what they actually mean for the game. So like, who is going to get stronger or weaker? By the way, I woke up this morning and my AD video yesterday had over like 6,000 likes on it already with a bunch of nice comments. So that was awesome. And we're only 1,000 subs away from 500k now. So if you lurk on these videos, you watch them all the time, but you're not subbed, make sure you hit that button. There are a few ARM changes actually this patch if you like a cheeky game of that. So I'll stick a link next to the timestamps and changes I'm going to talk about below. First up, Xayah and Rakan, if that's how I say them, are going to be out this patch. So let's very quickly go over how you play and crap on each of them in case you're against them. Rakan is definitely the stronger of the two of these, okay? His kit is overloaded and his damage isn't that bad either. What he actually does, passive-wise, a shield, a Q is a line skill shot that does damage, and if it hits an enemy champion, it heals him and nearby allies. The W dashes somewhere and knocks up enemies. Your E dashes to an ally and gives them a shield, which can be reused again within 5 seconds. Your ultimate is like an AoE RE charm. If he touches an enemy champion, like runs around and hits them, it deals damage and charms them. He's really good at protecting his team, like disrupting in team fights with knockups and the charm and stuff, and chasing people as well. He can dash in and do the knockup kind of combo together. He's a very good aggressive engaged champion, kind of like Alistair, but that has more defense and protection as well with the shield and heal. His lane phase is also very strong, by the way, but he is weak to crowd control. He's very mobile, but still just a low health mage who can be burst down. He'll often jump into the fight, dodge the engage, and burst. Do I think he's ban worthy? Probably yes, actually. He's very strong. Now, Xayah's passive gets 3 feathers after using a spell, which do line damage and are left on the floor afterwards. And the Q is kind of like Caitlyn's Q, but it fires 2 feathers instead. Her W gives her bonus attack speed, and attacks actually hit twice for reduced damage. They also get move speed on champion hits. Her E is going to send all feathers back to her, dealing damage, and if you're hit by 3 feathers, you're going to be rooted. Her ultimate becomes untargetable and fires out a line of feathers. One of the best things about her is she's so good at kiting. She has lots of damage and feathers to root someone if they chase her. A lot of that damage is AoE in team fights, so it's not actually single target. It's going to do team-wide AoE damage, and keeping herself safe also is very easy with her roots and ultimate, plus she can burst with her E if she builds some crit. She's very weak to chasing people though and getting kited. She has legit like nothing to gap close to chase with at all. Feathers will not be any use either because they aren't going to reach. This is a massive weakness, okay? This is one of her biggest downsides. She just cannot do anything if someone is running away. She also has little mobility and weak single target damage, so what you really want to do is kite her with spells or from range, and she can do nothing. Or don't group up or burst her at the start because she does need some time to place those feathers down. Would I ban her? Probably not, honestly. I don't think she's that good, and especially Lucian can really punish her in the lane phase. So if we move on to the actual roles, then the first one, jungle, I think is getting the most changes. Well, actually the biggest changes this patch. Amumu has just got more buffs, which is exactly what he needed, right? It turns out though his true damage passive last patch wasn't actually true damage. It was reduced by magic resist, so it was just a 15% bonus magic damage, but now it's actually going to be true damage, and they've lowered it to 10%. That's kind of to balance it now that it is actually true damage, but I don't think 10% true damage is equal to 15% bonus magic actually. Amumu shot up in win rate last patch with that change, and this is probably going to be even worse, so have fun with that. Also, his W, the percentage damage is lowered from 1 to 3% to 1 to 2%, but the AP ratio has been doubled on it. Now that's going to be 2% per 100 AP. So overall, if you get at least some ability power in the game, you're not going to notice this at all, and it's actually going to be a buff. If you haven't tried it, by the way, Cinderhulk into Rylai's and Liandry's is a killer build that is so strong right now. It's actually a very good carry build. Now, Udyr is also getting a rework. So we went over this a little bit before in a video, but in very basic terms, all mana costs now scale with your level. So every new level means 1 less mana. The key rework is the big thing. So now the damage over time applies on the first and every third auto attack after that, with the base damage being a bit lower. When you reapply it though, if there's still some of that dot left, then it will actually apply the rest of that first one's damage as burst damage straight away. You'll also get 70% attack speed when you activate Q for 5 seconds afterwards. This is absolutely freaking nuts, okay? Especially when that dot damage has 160% AD ratio. That's also not all for this. So your W now every first and third auto attack heals you for 2.5% of your maximum health. That is increased by 1% for every percentage of Udyr's missing health. It still has a shield on that as well, by the way. So it's now a shield when you activate and also a heal with the auto attacks. I think this is pretty crazy, to be honest. He's going to be like the burst version of Master Yi with the same attack speed. Fun to play against, I bet. The Q change is the major one here. So you can basically apply the dot, reactivate your Q, apply a new one instantly, like straight afterwards, and deal about 600 burst damage. I'm really not looking forward to Udyr coming back into meta because that's all with like a shield and with the movement speed and the stun and the Phoenix as well. So what is this actually going to mean? Amumu is even better, especially with AP champions and when building some AP. The Udyr rework means he can burst the crap out of people while having having a 70% attack speed buff. Damage Udyr, in my opinion, is going to be really strong this patch. What it means for the game, though, I'd say Amumu is worth a ban now, gold and below at least. Stat-wise, he's one of the best last patch, and now he's going to be stronger. Udyr will not be that strong until everyone figures out how to use his Q for the burst damage, and once they figure that out, he's going to seem really strong. Warwick is still one of the best junglers you can play, probably the best low elo there is right now, honestly, along with Master Yi. I think Kha'Zix will be the best lethality damage kind of type jungler, and then you've got a ton of decent junglers as well in the next tier, like Graves, Elise, Zac, and Gragas, stuff like that. The first two changes seem more aimed at pro play than us plebs, but sadly we're going to get them as well. The smaller one is Nautilus, though. The mana regen is going to be worse now per level growth, and also your E mana cost is up 10 at every rank. It's not the biggest thing, but you do max this first, and it's roughly like every 4 times you use this, you could have used it 5 before the change. Over the course of a lane phase, you're probably missing out on like 1 or 2 uses of this before you base every time. It'd be interesting to see what happens though, because Maokai is getting a rework very soon next patch, and it's been like those two that have the best tanks for a while. The Shen changes are much bigger though, so your Q now also does some extra base damage, not just percentage health, and that's whether a blade hits the enemy champion or not. That's to balance out that they now do not do bonus damage to minions anymore. This new bonus is like 30% of what it used to be to a minion. Your taunt energy cost is down 30, and it's also easier to hit as well, but the ultimate is the biggest rework here. The base shield is down massively. I say massively, like rank 3 is massively anyway. Now it's 175 to 525 from 250 to 850. The shield now scales with the target's missing health though, up to 160% effectiveness, which is 280 to 840, so similar to what it was before. It's similar to what it was before at max percentage, right? And that max will be on a 40% health ally, by the way. The cooldown is also increased from 180 to 120 to 200 to 160. The Q is going to suck if you want to split push and also push a wave in lane, but it's not the end of the world. The ultimate is going to suck ass though. The thing you have to remember is people can burst through that shield and kill them before you arrive, right? And stop you actually getting there. Everyone is like, this is such a good change. It's so much more competitive and like skill based. And yeah, but if you wait for someone to be 40% health, they're going to die before you arrive, and then you're screwed. You're not even in the fight anyway. Maybe on a tank they can survive, sure, but I don't know about a carry target who you should be ulting anyway late game. It does add a layer of skill, which I'm okay with, but now it's kind of just more defensive, which is a bit sad. In solo queue, the best way to win as a Shen is to get a teammate to engage, and then you ultimate on them to join it, which you're actually punished for doing now. The last top lane change is to Aatrox. Now I have a little bit of a theory about this one. Whenever Riot fully rework a champion, if they suck, they keep buffing them until people play them again. It always happens. In Challenger and Master, Aatrox is actually getting played, and he's not that bad. I reckon they're going to overbuff this guy to a point where he'll snap and be overpowered for a patch, but this time around, the heal on his W has been increased 1.5% to 6.5%. That is missing health now, by the way, and also his passive, the Hellbent part, so that thing where you actually revive and get bonus attack speed and AD, that refreshes on monsters now as well, not just on champions anymore, and also the bonus attack speed is up 10%. In my opinion, this passive change is massive unless I'm an idiot, which is obviously quite possible. The fact that you had to fight an enemy champ to refresh it meant that if the lane opponent ran away once you got it active, you'd waste it, and then you'd be so easy to kill afterwards. Now at least you can get it, you keep it active on the wave, and you'll have control. It looks small in my opinion, but it covers a big weakness, I think. So Nautilus can't spam his E as much anymore. Shen doesn't do as much to minions. The taunt is easier to hit. The ultimate is better on low health allies and worse on high health. Aatrox also heals for more and keeps his passive up a little bit easier. What it actually means for the game, Nautilus and Shen will still be played at high elo 100% in my opinion, but Nautilus will be worse. His wave clear and pushing was like a big reason he could survive early lane at least. Aatrox will be stronger, I think, but probably not overpowered level just yet, so Darius would still be my go-to top laner just because of how strong he is in the lane phase. Tryndamere, Talon, and Kled will be some of the strongest who are not played as much right now, but then you have the super popular ones. Renekton, Gangplank, Fizz, Fiora, they're all very strong, well-rounded champions, and we're going to see a lot of them. Irelia is probably my most underrated one moving into this patch. I think she's actually going to get played a little bit more. Jungle and top lane are by far the biggest changes this patch. Remember, it's a smaller patch just because we're prepping for the massive mid-season update next patch in a few weeks. Moving on to the mid lane, Lissandra has some small buffs. So the cooldown of her passive was 18 at all ranks, and it's now down to 18 to 9 seconds. It's much better for late game where she does have some mana issues anyway, and also your Q AP ratio is up 5%. It's not the biggest changes, right? But she should be good in this meta anyway. Like low health supports to kill, immobile AD carries, passive mages mid, they're all burstable. Maybe this is kind of a little push similar to Kassadin where it's like, hey, she's actually pretty good, you should play her. This is not going to affect mid lane that much, to be honest, but actually the jungle changes for Amumu and Udyr getting buffed, I think maybe will do more. Lux and Orianna, champions like that, are much more vulnerable to Udyr ganks where he runs super fast at you, you slap them and burst them. Like if he gets really popular, this type of mage will suffer a little bit. Amumu as well well is buffing all burst mages. It's the wombo combo on steroids. Anything that has upfront damage they can use at the very start when he uses his ultimate, that's going to be really strong indirectly and just get a buff. Moving on to support, I see Malzahar way more here than mid lane, so I'm going to put him into this one. The base armor is down by 2, which kind of sucks when bot lane is mainly auto and AD base, remember? Also, your void health has been lowered to 2 hits. Remember, it's the same as a ward, so it just needs 2 hits instead of 3. I don't really think Malzahar is that broken at all anymore, but this is a pretty crappy nerf for bot lane. Like, if you think about it, now all it takes to kill that void and stop it spawning is the AD and support to auto attack it once straight away. That is it. Like, after that, it's completely gone, right? You're going to miss a lot of damage there, I think. So Malzahar is going to be weaker, at least harass-wise, and less annoying to play against, which still means we're going to get the same AD carry and support meta. Actually, we're going to group them together as there's no AD carry changes this patch. So for support, we're either looking at champions designed to buff and protect the immobile AD carry, or designed to punish those immobile AD carries and the defensive supports. It's really turning into a lane of counter matchups for supports, I think, which is pretty weird actually. Mostly we're going to see a lot of Lulu, Blitzcrank, Sona, Karma, Nami, stuff like that, but I would expect to see more Bard and Soraka soon as well. I think they're both really good. For AD carries, Lucian mainly to be honest, and Ezreal, these both fit into every single team comp every game. They always stand a chance to carry and do well. That's why they're picked so much. Apart from that, we have like Twitch and Kog'Maw, Kalista, which are very strong when paired with a buffing support. Like, it massively increases their power, which is already quite strong anyway. Caitlyn is still the most well-rounded AD you can play. If you're ever getting into AD carry, I'd recommend you play Caitlyn, and Misfortune would be my one to watch actually. She's better than most people think, honestly. I hope you guys enjoyed a little look at the new patch. Thank you for watching the video, but for now, let's go to the robots.